Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Brian. I like Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark Christmas movies.
And I'm Luke, and I straddle the fence of like and dislike Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Joel, and I'm just admiring your Christmas setup, so I'm a bit distracted, boys. But I like Hallmark Christmas movies. I prefer Lifetime Christmas.
And this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Well.
boy.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Yeah.
It's our first Sunday release of the season. It's a new thing we're trying where, as you're on your way to church, you put on
the old.
Should we play the boys from Deck the Hallmark?
I think we should.
Church?
But what are the odds that a band that people might listen to on their way to church is joining us on our Sunday episode?
I mean,
It's almost like we
the
planned
odds
it.
are unbelievable. It is like we planned it. And we have not, I heard on good authority, we don't have king or country. We have king and country.
I understand
joining us.
that is true. Which one of you is king?
If you can introduce
I'm the
yourselves.
king.
Okay.
I'm the king.
Okay, great.
Joel is the king.
Yeah.
For the
Well,
record, because see,
I was wanting to.
Luke, are you country?
I was wanting there to be a vote. Like, which one do you think is the king?
Ooh.
Yeah, I just wanted to know which.
In my head, Luke, you are older than Joel, which would make you. I'm a younger brother. That would make me. That would make you king. That's not true.
Interesting.
no.
You know what's funny?
Luke, so Dan despises Hallmark films, and Luke now despises Dan because Luke is the younger
circle.
brother.
Oh, maybe it's because you were on time, Luke. Maybe that's what it was.
I was on time. I could hear everything. I just didn't have my mic turned on. All right. Take it easy. It's Sunday, guys.
I am
It's
the
the
most-
Lord's
Yeah, that's
Day.
right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Between the two of us, I probably am the most responsible. But Dan, just to clarify one thing, I've probably asked 1,000 people in my life, "Hey, who do you think's older?" Like at meet and greets and signing lines and all those types of things. I think you're one of 3 people.
Wow.
that said that I'm older.
It's just changed. It's all the grays.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That will-
I don't know what it was, man. Maybe I just, I'm sorry, Luke. I'm sorry I let you down there. But you also, I think you had the curly hair, which is like a crown. So let's go with that.
Listen, hey, Dan, he's the more mature, he's the more responsible brother. It makes sense.
Why can't you be more like your brother?
Yeah, you're always hearing
Thanks,
that.
Mom.
You're always hearing that. You know what? We're really excited to be with you guys virtually. We were together
Last night.
in
Yeah.
Greenville, South Carolina. You were
Hey,
here.
how did you feel about the show, by the way?
Oh, my
Thank
gosh.
You, hey, thank you all for coming. Like,
Yes.
it was one thing for one of you to come or 2 of you to come. It was a whole other thing for all 3 of you to come and bring your family.
Well,
That's
when you guys offered us free tickets.
Yeah. And you
I
invited
ordered you
us on.
discount tickets for the record. Luke ordered you
The
free
older
tickets.
brother. Obviously,
My
the more
favorite
responsible.
my favorite part was obviously when you guys invited us on stage and you let us do a
Dream
set.
come true.
What a time that was.
It was an honor. It was an
It
honor.
was so awkward. We kicked you off pretty
We
quick.
overstay the welcome.
It
as
was
per
really
usual.
weird because Dan doesn't know any of your songs, and so it made it.
Tried to
It
lead
made it
the
really
crowd.
weird.
Yeah, I'm an old school Rebecca St. James fan. I'm
Yeah.
trying to cross over though.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to
Yeah,
get there.
Dan just went into. What did you go into? Was it God?
It was God.
It was
yeah,
God.
It was the one, the one I remembered.
It was beautiful.
That's right. Yeah.
We are really excited that you guys are joining us today for a couple of reasons. We're going to be reviewing a Hallmark movie. It's going to be a lot of fun. There was a little bit of a mix-up in
Little
my
bit of a
mind.
wires crossed,
It
yes.
was the Austrian movie, and I thought that you guys were Austrian. You're Australian, and
Yeah,
that's on
it's-
me.
yeah.
Totally my fault.
Yeah.
I was trying
You
to do
and
a
Jim
thing here.
Carrey.
Yeah, I do apologize there. But you are joining us as well because you've got a pretty big holiday season per usual for you guys. You are a bit of a holiday staple now for a lot of people because of your Christmas music. And your concert is coming to cinemas, to the theater.
The cinema.
In December, which is pretty exciting. What can you tell people about a concert film? I imagine that's going to be pretty cool to see on the big screen.
We'll give you the whole backstory, boys.
Please.
We're at home right now, and last year we were at home in between Christmas shows, and I was in the bath. And I was reading fully clothed.
Sure, of course.
And I was reading
family show.
the Wall Street Journal, and it went through all of these. The title was "The Films That Saved Cinemas This Year," and one was religious dramas. One genre was actually like classic films going back into theaters. And the third was live concert films. And we had already been toying around with, we love Christmas. It's the most meaningful time of the year. We love, the story behind Christmas. And we've sort of opted to take this sort of very spiritual approach to the season and remake some of these incredible Christmas songs, namely a song called The Little Drummer Boy, which was written in the early 1900s. And we did the most obvious thing. We put a bunch of drums on a song about a boy playing drums for Jesus. And it's sort of like, I have TSA pre-agents come to me these days. Like, they won't say you're for King Country. They won't say you're representing James Brothers. They'll say, you're the drummer boy guys. And so it's kind of caught on like a house on fire. So we do these tours, but you can only get to so many places in one season because the season's so short until this year. So we took, after reading that article in the bath, fully clothed, we took the film crew from Unsung Hero, which is a movie we did with Lionsgate that released earlier this year. And we put them in the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. And we captured a cinematic concert experience up close and personal of the greatest, what we believe is the greatest season of the year. And so 5 nights only, December 5th through 9th. It's going to be in 1,500 theaters across America. So instead of us upsetting 3/4 of the country when we announce we can only go to 10 cities, it's going to be within driving distance of every American this Christmas. So we are pretty, it's not quite a Hallmark film, but it is pretty exciting.
I mean, I think we could put something together though and make it a Hallmark film.
I mean,
halfway there.
1,500 screens. That's a wide release. That is not an independent film. That is like, you guys are going to be out there. That's going to be fantastic.
Is it just a little? I mean, look, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you. I was going to make a joke, and it's not the time for jokes.
Not the time. Absolutely.
You go ahead.
Hey.
This is very serious. The country is talking, guys.
Well, apparently I was the king, but I got dismantled. But
that'll happen.
No, it's the fun thing about this this tour is it is the the Christmas tour that we usually do every year is the biggest thing that we do. And as Joel said, it's always been very frustrating because we have people if you go west, you go east. You know what I'm saying? And so to be able to, with technology, with the theaters and the Fathom, to be able to solve this and celebrate the greatest story in the history of the world all together is a real delight. So yes, 1,500 theaters and counting.
That's
right.
amazing.
It's called A Drummer Boy Christmas, the cinematic concert experience. And we're just thrilled. Fathom's putting it out, and we're really grateful to them. But enough about that.
Brandon, you want to make that joke now?
I was going to make the joke. Is it just Little Drummer Boy for 2 hours, or do you do a couple of others?
Just that song.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good song.
Version.
Yeah.
It's a really good
And
song.
can I say this, Luke, if you were clean shaven based upon the Google images, you would clearly be the younger brother.
Wow.
I think it's the stubble that's getting you in trouble.
I thought about that this morning, and I was like, I think I need to show some wisdom.
Yeah.
And as I'm going on to review a Hallmark Christmas movie, I
show it
think
some
that
respect.
wisdom was required for this.
Yeah. And that's why you're the king. So yeah, I think that would have fixed the whole thing. But we're here. I think that it
Now,
works out.
one more question just about Christmas music. There are groups out there like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Mannheim Steamroller that have figured it out, how to figure out how do we do the whole country, and it's that we have two separate bands and we call it both Trans-Siberian Orchestra, even though it's not, because no one really knows who's in that band. They just know the song. So like, what are you working on to make that possible for the next year? Maybe you guys split up.
King
Maybe
or country.
you do the King tour,
People
the
have to
country
pick.
tour.
Competition.
The ultimate vote.
Have you thought about it?
I mean, look, we're in the days of AI, guys. We're in the days of holograms. And so in a couple of years, I'm sure we're going to be able to do it. But for the moment, all we got is 10, 12 shows, unless, again, you can capture it cinematically. And I'll say this,
It goes into theaters.
just to brag on the team, it's really beautiful. Like, and I feel like I can say that because there were so many people that worked on it. You know, we go 40, 50 feet in the air during the show, and there's 12,000 people in the room. And we had an Emmy award-winning sound mixer in LA mix it, Matt Waters and Ainsley Grosser. And it looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It's really immersive. And that was one of our key focuses, was we wanted to make something that felt like you literally were in the room with us. Funnily enough, the CFOs never lie, boys. And our CFO watched it and he was like, I don't know, I was skeptical, guys, when you decided to do this, but I think this is better than one of your real shows, honestly. It's like, okay.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a typical CFO, though. They don't want to leave the office.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. He doesn't have to go anywhere.
I take big risks.
Yeah. And we actually did talk to the sound mixer, and he said it was the hardest job he's ever had. So the fact that he was able to make it sound good is really a testament to him and that team. So congratulations to that team. I'm sure there's awards coming out for him. Shall we talk about the Austrian Christmas movie?
We should.
Probably.
Since we have the Australians here, let's talk about this Austrian.
Yes. For everybody that didn't watch it on Halloween night, here's how the movie went.
Maybe you recorded it on Philo.tv/DTH.
Maybe you did
that.
Maybe
Just
you
saying.
did.
You could have.
My Sweet Austrian Holiday originally premiered on Halloween in 2024 on the Hallmark Channel, and it went a little something like this. Charlotte is a chocolatier who recently moved to Vienna with a wild idea, like, putting potato chips and chocolate and whatnot. She's at a fundraising event surrounded by as many Christmas trees as possible. Also at this event is Henry, who doesn't know much, but he knows one thing. You don't put potato chips in chocolate. I disagree, Henry. Charlotte is trying hard to win Vienna's Chocolatier of the Year award because if she wins, she thinks it will be harder to lose her shop to a developer who is trying to buy it. And who is this developer, you might be wondering? It's Henry's company. And everything is looking good for the development to purchase this 300 million euro development, except for Charlotte's chocolate shop. She is fighting it tooth and nail, and Henry doesn't know about that, though, because he doesn't really want to know any details about what is going on. He just wants to know if it's going well. He just wants to be on holiday. He leaves a meeting to walk through the market and bumps into Charlotte again. They end up walking around the city together, having a great time. They eventually return to her chocolate shop, and she gives him some chocolate to remember her by. On his way out, he hands her his card. I thought that was going to be a whodunit there moment, but it wasn't. And she's like, thank you, I'll hold on to this. The next day, they bump into each other again, and he asks her if she wants to get dinner. She says, I always have time for food. Fantastic. They go out and they talk about their dreams and whatnot, which gets Henry thinking, is he actually doing what he loves? He knows that Charlotte is, but is he? He finds out that Charlotte is fighting off developers, and he doesn't put two and two together. He thinks, let me see if I can help you. So he asks an associate to look into Charlotte's business to see if they can do anything to help fight off the developer as a historical landmark. What Henry doesn't know is that associate is the one who's trying to fight her on the historical landmark status. I know. So instead of helping her, she serves Charlotte with paperwork claiming eminent domain. Charlotte is like, over my dead body it is. She is ready for war, for king, and for country. She shows him the paperwork, and it all clicks in. He's the bad guy in this story. He could come clean to her, but he doesn't want to. Instead, they go ice skating and decorate a Christmas tree, something he's never done before. He calls his dad to get advice, and his dad's like, you should just pay her more money and get this over with. They do offer her more money, but she's not having it. She decides to look into this company finally to find out who's behind this, and maybe she can go and talk to them. And there's this point that she finds out that Henry is associated with the development. So she barges in and tells him to shove off. Henry feels all mopey dopey. She's then looking at pictures and comes across a photo of her grandma, who the shop used to belong to, and her grandma's best friend, who still lives in Vienna. So she goes to visit her, and luckily she has a picture of the two of them in front of this building before the special date that would make the building historic, so she has proof. Henry's dad shows up and says, "Hey son, I'm sorry that I suck. I suck as a dad, and I'm sorry. I want to try to help you figure out a way that you can make things better." So he puts together some cool blueprints on a phone. Blueprints. I did rap last night at the show, and it was really good. So thank you.
Can't believe they brought us back up for an encore.
It was amazing.
It was the For King and Country show.
Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
Little Drummer Boy was huge.
right.
So the blueprints, he shows them to her, and she's like, "I'm gonna have to think." And so, what better way to think than with a waltz? They waltz together, and eventually she tells him that, "Hey, I'm in. This sounds great." They kiss. Then they stop dancing. They talk about it again. She once again says, "I'm in." They kiss again, and then there's fireworks.
Hey,
and
that
that my friends was my sweet Austrian holiday. That's right. Let's take a break. Thank you. Thank you. That's more clapping than you guys did for us last night.
That's
I'm
true.
sure
Didn't wanna
you're
bring it up,
making
but-
up for lost time. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this movie down with For King and Country here on
Deck the Hallmark.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about My Sweet Austrian Holiday with the Australian band For King and Country.
Close.
We're going to break this movie down. We're going to share our thoughts on it. Let's do our hot takes. Brian, I'm going to start with you because why would I start with the guest? I'm going to start with you.
Right.
No, we would
And,
never do that.
What did you think of My Sweet Austrian Holiday?
Yeah, I actually thought this was pretty good stuff.
What?
I had a pretty good time.
Brian.
Like we start
Buddy.
with somebody who's already made a big life decision, moving to Vienna. Not in the conflict, like should I, shouldn't I? It'll uproot my whole life. She already did it. So right off the bat, I know a lot about her character, and I like her. I like this. I like where this is going.
Brian.
Will Kemp as Henry. I feel like he even could have leaned into the Arrested Development or the immaturity of not
Does he
wanting.
look like Hugh Jackman to anyone else?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I tell you what it was the way he was. Will's been on the show before. So has Brittany. Both of these leads have been on our show before. Will loves to do voice. He is British. He's from London, but he loves to do voices.
I loved his accent.
Yeah.
And
I
he
loved
was
his
in the
accent. He was so
pocket there, and
Yeah.
it did give him a little bit of a Hugh Jackman vibe.
Yeah, that works for him.
I said he could be Willy Wonka. I said he could
100%.
legitimately be Willy Wonka if he wanted to.
100%.
Can you imagine that?
So I liked these characters, and the story I thought was great. Chocolate, you cannot go wrong. Obviously, a little more chocolatiering
depressing.
would have done us all some good. I think we all agree there. Anytime Will dances, that's a joy for everybody to watch. So yeah, I had a good time. The conflicts, yeah, predictable, but the one thing with this where he hid his identity from her, which typically that's like classic move. I didn't mind it in this one because I felt like he might pull this off. Like he might fix it and be able to
if
explain
you were
it.
him, you would have lied to her on the off chance you could solve the problem without being honest.
I don't know if I'm not. He is a bigger man than I am. I don't know if I could have pulled it off. I had confidence in him doing this though, and I was with him. I was along for the ride. I was rooting for him.
He also had Batman's sidekick Brian working
100%.
with him on
That's
the
true.
who thing.
100%.
That's true.
And
Yes.
that makes
Alfred
all the
was there.
difference. You're
Alfred the
absolutely
Butler, that's right.
So that was
Most
huge.
people think Batman's sidekick is Robin, but it's
No, it's the
not. Go
Butler.
ahead.
No. Hey, I find it remarkable that you just somehow intellectualized the Hallmark Christmas movie the way that you just did. I mean, it was
Thank you.
an impressive feat where you're like, you're building up to like you just felt like because she moved from. I was impressive to me.
Thank you.
I found that.
We're going to give you a For King Country critique on your comment.
Yes. Also,
Did you now? One question. I have one question. Did you watch it with anyone else?
I watched it alone.
yeah.
I watched it by myself.
I thought you were going to say something else. I watched
That
it
makes a lot more sense.
alone.
just
That makes a lot more sense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was locked in, but also
Interesting,
Luke,
yeah.
Joel, you need to know, like, we watch a bunch of these movies. Like we watch them 5 days a week. We watch a ton of these. What he did there was not impressive.
Thanks, Dan.
I think that's
Feels good to be knocked down a peg or two.
I think that's what they call the
There may have
weave.
been a little. there may have been a little sarcasm in my comments, but that's okay.
No,
Not at all.
no way.
Luke, while you're talking, how about you share your thoughts on this movie? First of all, do you have an
what's your
a
experience?
past with Hallmark Christmas movies or made-for-TV Christmas movies? Like, what's your past with it?
So look, I hope you saw my joke last night, because we get ready to sing a love story, and I say, hey, I gotta admit, I love a good love story. And I asked the audience, hey, do you love it? You love a good love story. And they all like, yeah.
Remember that part of the show, guys?
It was
I
a
definitely
really,
remember
really
that.
good
love story
Yeah.
part. Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, but for those that weren't there, keep going.
sure, go
Yeah.
ahead.
It
Yes.
was funny. It was funny, right? Yeah. And I say, my wife's got me watching these Hallmark Christmas movies in July. And so it's a part of my shtick. It's a part of my deal. So, yes, I have watched a fair few, my wife. And but look, the game that I like to play, I'm sure you gentlemen like to play as well, is can I figure out the ending of the movie within the first 5 minutes of the movie? And usually I'm successful.
Yes.
This film was fine. It had the warm fuzzies. There wasn't a lot of twists.
I just want one of them to die before that in one of these.
Yes, I want some sort of yes. But but to me, what's interesting is not done to the same level maybe as You've Got Mail, but you've got the big developer coming in. There's the little store over here, and he's coming in, and he's the big bad wolf, and they kind of run into each other a few times, and so it was what I would expect from a Hallmark Christmas movie. I do think Hallmark Christmas movies have. Their scripts have gotten progressively better, where there are a few twists and turns that you don't see coming. This was not one of them.
Nope.
And that doesn't mean it's a bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, before you go to Joel, you need to know that Joel is a screenwriter and a director. Like has directed a feature film. So the bar's high for the eldest king in country here.
Luke has also produced that said film, so we both got this going for us. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, it's not a Lifetime movie, but what did you think of this one?
All right. I got highlights and I got lowlights. Right. I thought the stakes, Brian, per your comment, were moderately high stakes. I kind of felt like, all right, no one's gonna die if this thing, doesn't come through. I will say, I'm gonna start at the end and say that that waltz was one hallmark of
He's
a
a
waltz.
great dancer.
I mean,
Will
it was
is a-
like
Yeah.
when she
He
was
is a
spinning
very good
and
dancer.
the whole thing.
Will
I
is
thought
a
that was very
classically
impressive.
trained dancer. Will Kemp is like years
Yeah.
of dancing. Yeah.
So here's
He is a
my
professional. Yes. And you can tell
my
that.
highlights. My highlights were, I actually thought it had scope. I thought there was some really nice, it did not feel like, some of these films feel like they've just shot them in really tiny rooms and they didn't have the budget to get the big, shot. I felt like, Brand, to your point about the end, the fireworks, that little superimposed shot. The first time they showed that estate, I was like, that's beautiful. Fireworks didn't work for me. Not that that's part of the storyline. Highlights. I thought there was some really good quotes in it. At one point, I think she said something like, you stay because you think you're losing someone when in the end you're losing yourself. I was like, oh.
In the music,
Oh, wow.
the moment.
I thought that was nice. And then this was not quite as good of a line, but I thought it was still fun. She said, I don't need a hero, Henry. I need someone who's willing to be honest with me. And I thought that was good conflict resolution. I have some questions. I want to know what happened to Alfred and the other lady.
They did disappear.
I don't really care that much, but I felt like they ran out of time at the end.
Yeah.
I liked the estate at the end. Like I said, I thought the accents were great. I thought the FaceTime calls. So this is some of the lowlights. The FaceTime calls were weird for me.
Yeah.
So this is, someone just needs to say, speaking of a director, someone needs to say, whenever you make a FaceTime call ever, you're never looking at the camera. You're always looking at yourself.
Yep.
So the FaceTime calls felt a little off to me. I thought the cuckoo clock.
A little cuckoo, maybe.
That's a little cuckoo. The cuckoo clock was a little cuckoo. Now, here's another highlight. I thought the Dobler design of the coffee shop, I thought it was very legitimate. You know, sometimes they throw those little, they come up with an idea and they throw it up there and it just looks sort of B grade. I thought it was very legitimate. Another low light was there was definitely no coffee in their mugs when they were ice skating.
No way, no how.
There was not a drop of coffee.
I know.
Just put some dark water in there, guys. You can stomach a little bit of Coca-Cola. So that was a bit of a low light. Then also, when they were having their sort of romantic thing in the apartment and he sort of wanted to kiss her, but she was sort of avoiding it. I'm glad they cleared this up because she opens the fridge and she poured what seemed to be milk into their glasses. And I thought, who in the last 140 years has at 7 p.m. on a date opened the fridge and poured their dates a glass of milk? Now, it was eggnog in the end.
Yeah, thank God.
So,
because that would have been
thank
an
God.
issue.
And they cleared it up. Another weird, this is not even a low light or a highlight. It was just weird. Did anyone catch the chimney cakes of Transylvania?
No.
I guess not.
You got to watch that one again.
I don't think
I
so.
literally paused it and rewatched it.
He studied this.
I studied this thing. I thought this was our big moment on this podcast. I thought I'd really do my due diligence. My overall synopsis is this, Dan. I thought the stakes weren't high enough. I thought they had sweet chemistry. I thought it had a little bit of scope, but I wanted more. And even when she Googled him and she found out that he was the one behind it, like I wanted like weeping and that. And this is melodramatic in me, but I wanted her to be like legitimate betrayal. I thought she was kind of like, oh shucks, it was him all the time.
Should have Googled him. Should have Googled him.
Yeah.
Ah, well.
She should have Googled him.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's my synopsis.
I love it.
Great job, guys. And I don't really have much to add or change. I agree. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. I thought
great.
it was fine. I to that point of you should have Googled him, when she handed him the business card, I was excited because I was like, oh, great, we're going to get this out of the way quick.
Right away. Yeah.
She's going to find out that this guy is a part of this development.
That was going to be the turn.
And it wasn't. And I think that this movie could have gone up a level or two had that just come out.
Yeah.
And then I think those two together, Britt Bristow, she was so good in this movie. I thought she was wonderful. The waltz was wonderful. Who's not happy with a waltz? The fireworks were awful, but in the best way. I love anytime you add fireworks to the end of a movie.
Shout out Christmas in Carolina.
It does feel like it's just one of those things where it's like, how do we end it? And I love that. And so just an okay for me, but a definite could have been better with just a few minor tweaks.
Using
In my
your could have been
opinion.
better.
I will say this too. Though I thought to your point, Brent. I thought they were really good.
Yes.
Like I thought I loved his accent.
Acting.
Yeah.
Well, he's legit. He was born in England. I think that they actually, as actors, are pretty solid actors. And what you probably are just picking up on is, an actor can only do so much. Because sometimes you can watch some other Hallmark and you're like, man, this could be a good movie, but these people just aren't delivering, right? They were delivering, but it's the difficult content to deliver.
Yep.
Can I offer one technical comment as well?
I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Here we go.
I know this probably flies in the face of like Hallmark movies in general, but I just wish we watched one that was actually just a bit more underlit.
Yeah.
Everything, because it just, as an actor, it makes it so much harder to. It is a Hallmark staple. You're right. Yeah. But as an actor, it makes it so much harder when you just feel overexposed all the time. And so I thought they did a doubly good job because everything was so overlit that there's no mystery in any of the textures of their face. It was just all kind of right there all the time. So.
Yeah. No, you know what you're getting right away with that. Like there's like 15 trees like on this platform behind them at this fundraiser, you know what you're getting. They don't hide it. This is going to be a bright movie, dadgummit. We're in Austria. Let's get to all the feels. Where we
I
talking
didn't
about.
even give a hot take. Didn't even give one.
Dan, we have to have a Dan hot take
Yeah,
because I
give
want the
one.
negative. I want the negative hot take.
Can I go, Brandon? Is that all right with you?
Will you allow
think?
it
I'll allow it.
for King and Country?
For King and Country.
Yeah, so this movie is in my top 10 Hallmark Christmas movies this year, purely because we've only watched 10.
So it made it.
This is a disaster. Listen. I don't do this for every movie. I know people think I do, and I get my jollies from saying all these movies suck. That's not true. There's been some good ones this year. This movie is written by someone who doesn't know how humans work. They spared every expense making this movie. I disagree on the locale. I disagree on how it was shot. I disagree that
I didn't say anything about the cinematography.
Okay, fair.
But
fair.
I thought some of the locations.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
The fact is you have two professionals in Britt Bristow and Will Kemp
Yeah.
who are firemen carrying this thing over the finish line, even when they have to deliver lines like, I always say about life and chocolate that change is the thing that keeps life from being a snooze fest, which we'll get into more later. But if you think about line and try to diagram that sentence, you're going to run into a multitude of problems. This movie has literally nowhere to be in all day to get there. There are silent, dramatic pauses in this movie that are a lifetime. It is Lawrence of Arabia in length. I can't believe it was only 84 minutes. The waltz and the two leads, both of these leads we've seen both of these leads in really quality movies. They are doing the best they can with what is definitely not a Hallmark level budget or a Hallmark level script. I looked at my 2022 and 2023 list of Christmas movies, and this would have finished in the bottom 5 or 6 in either of those 2 years.
Really?
I really firmly believe this will be one of the worst movies that we watch all season, and I am floored that I've not heard the same from the two of you. Not in this level of detail, but I'm floored that this got anywhere near a thumbs up. I don't even know. I get we're different on Christmas charade. I get that.
Well, I need to apologize because I actually think I'm the one. I don't know. We had a list of some of the ones that were coming out, and I was the one that picked it. So I apologize to everyone. Dan, I apologize to you.
No, we had to review it anyway. We were going to have to review it either way.
We don't have a real good gauge either of because, newsflash, actually, me, now less Luke. Luke watches more than I do. This was my first Hallmark film in maybe ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I can see how you got there. Yeah.
My frame of reference is we know all the shticks, right? They're a bit overlit. They're a bit, the stakes aren't very high. So I kind of watched it and went, no, of course.
Yeah. And I will say this, before Hallmark has gotten way better. I think Luke brought it up, but Hallmark's gotten way better the last 3 or 4 years.
True.
And it's been a paradigm shift for us on this podcast, because I will say this movie in 2019, probably middle of the pack for Hallmark. Yeah. Probably 20 in the 20s, in my opinion. But now, if you had watched pretty much any of the other ones, maybe not the Girl Scout one, but any of the other ones we've seen this year, you would notice a pretty big jump in a lot of the things that are necessary to make a movie really good. So
maybe the best way to put it is everyone just needed to actually try.
Yeah.
Not just try.
Yeah.
I think the two leads were trying. They were really trying. They were trying to.
They were.
But everything else, no one was really trying.
Yeah, I think it was tough. I think it's a thing where you've got a location and you've got a movie that you want to make, and there wasn't a lot of, time or magnification put into anything aside from these two leads are going to get us there. So, what are you going to do?
Let's get to all the feels now. This is where we talk about what in this movie gave us feels. Brian, anything stick out to you?
Yeah, actually, it's something. Joel, you mentioned the brightness up front, but something this movie had that I love in a movie like this is the Christmas lights in the background all the time. Like every scene was glowing.
I did notice that,
and I like that. I like that look. Yeah. So, and this movie had it. Reminded me of Kismet Christmas from last year, starring Sarah Ramos, obviously.
Shout out.
But yeah, really like that.
Your girl Sarah Ramos.
Yeah, haven't seen her this year. And the Christmas market. I mean, when you have a Christmas market, all bets are off. Like, those things are phenomenal. We don't have big Christmas markets like that here, like they have in Europe. So it's great to see them on screen.
Luke, any feels for you?
Look, I'd probably go a little bit more emotional. I try to find the depth of basically any art that's created. I did think that the dynamic between father and son, at least trying to reconcile that, I think that's something that is applicable for a lot of people. I think
still no stakes though
in the world, right? And no, they could have ramped it up, but all the feels was seeing them actually in that last shot, kind of him going, "Hey, I'm not," and I want to kind of make it turn the page a little bit. For me, I was like, "Hey, I can appreciate that, and I can appreciate a movie trying to tell a little bit of that story of what I think happens to a lot of us."
A real Field of Dreams moment
parent trauma there.
on Sweet Austrian Holiday.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a real Field of Dreams moment, but
you heard it here.
They were trying.
Yeah.
Joel.
I'm admittedly, I'm struggling to come back from Dan's comments, and I will say I sort of, as a guest who doesn't have a lot of authority, I sort of maybe some level do resonate with a lot of them. The reason I chose this film is because I just thought if we can get Hallmark out of America and we can interject a few accents and some sort of culture and some range. Yeah, you're probably right.
No, I think it was filmed in Europe.
That had to have
Belarus, I think.
Yeah, Belarus. Is that
I think
right?
that's where
there you go.
Yeah, they get some tax breaks. They film a lot in Romania. Like a lot of the Warrior movies, they film in Romania. A lot of tax incentives there.
That blew my mind.
We scouted for a film in Romania in 2019. To your point, there's a lot of you can make a high dollar film. Cold Mountain, Civil War film with
Nicole
Kidman and Jude Law was
So, Joel,
shot in.
what's your all the feels?
All the feels were. Let me dig deep.
You don't have to have one. It's fine.
No, Brian, I did think the lights. I thought whenever you go to that shallow depth of field and the lights are sort of sparkling in the back, I clocked that like 2 or 3 times. Like, that's really sweet. I did not have all the feels with the father-son thing. I thought, Luke, this father and son have not been reconciled for like the better part of 40 years, it seems like. And all of a sudden, he's like, you know what? I've been a loser. I'm so sorry, buddy. Like, I was like, I'm going to fly. Like, speaking of stakes, I'm going to fly halfway around the world to be like, sorry about that call. When I was looking straight down the barrel of the FaceTime call instead of at you. So I didn't relate to that. I didn't. Speaking of all the feels, I didn't get to the end and was like, thank God that they're together. I didn't get to so I think the feels actually for me were more textile. It was more like I really appreciated how hard they worked on that chocolate shop and the title. And it was actually one of the best sets to me. They had some nice little close-ups of the chocolate being made. And I thought, oh, that was really nice. And then the chocolate header, I thought that was really great. But beyond that, I didn't have many.
I want to point this out. I just love that all the feels for Joel, it has nothing to do with the script, nothing to do with acting, nothing to do with actually really the movie.
He was just hungry. He was just hungry.
Do you get the sense that Luke and Joel Brand are a little bit like old Brand and Dan over here?
Well, I think there's a reason why they're not in the same room, and that's tough. You hate to see that.
Yeah.
You hate to see
Didn't
that.
want to bring it up.
Mine is a feels that you do see it. You
Bon
do
Jovi
see it in the
situation.
movie. She has a red bike, and I thought the red bike was delightful. I thought there's nothing
That
quite
one shot.
That one shot. That one shot.
I was like,
amazing.
He's a big bike guy.
I'm a big bike guy.
Hey, I did. Hey, to your point, Brent, I did look at that shot and I went, well, they really went They really tried on that shot.
They got
Like just the composition, the time of day, the extras. I was like, they really did that thing.
the red bike.
Red bike.
The redness of the bike.
Lights in the
Let's get red
background.
bike. It's Christmas. Red bike.
Once again, you guys are pointing out.
Luke, this is what it's come to.
Luke, I think you're speaking the loudest, Luke. I think you're saying the quiet part out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, between the lights and bikes
Thank
and
you,
stuff,
yeah.
I searched my heart.
The chocolate?
Searched my heart and found absolutely nothing. Sorry about that, but I guess we'll take a break and see if I can scrounge up any white wads.
Wonderful. Yes.
We'll talk.
Yes. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to the wait one, the what, the Hallmark here on
Deck the
Hallmark. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking my sweet Austrian holiday for King and Country is with us, and it's time for the Wait What. It's where we talk about when this movie made us go, wait, what? I'll start with you, Brian. Brian, what stuck out to you?
Yeah, to piggyback on some of the tech talk that's already been brought up, they did that weird thing where somebody's doing the FaceTime from a laptop, somebody's on a phone, and the person who's using the laptop shows up as if they're using their phone
That's
in
right.
portrait
Yes.
mode. The person on the phone shows up in widescreen on the laptop. So thankfully, tech's gotten a lot better.
It has.
But
As
thankfully,
that
we still got
information is going over the digital highway, it does
rotate,
the orientation
yeah.
It's
for you.
AI.
Yeah, it's
It's
unbelievable.
an AI. It's AI. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't even make movies anymore.
No,
they
they don't.
just hold up a phone and it's done.
That's good.
impressive.
That's good.
The indoor skating rink.
Oh
slash,
my gosh! Can we talk about this for a
I
year
was
and a
going to
half?
bring that up.
/ obstacle course.
You mean the fall hazard?
Yeah, with
What
a
was
table
that?
with drink service at the table in the middle of the rink.
Can you imagine a server? You're just trying to ice skate, and a server
Whoa,
has a
weaving-
tray
whoop,
of drinks
whoop.
weaving through and
Caution,
bringing
hot.
it to the table. It's a good thing there's no liquid
Guys,
in there.
I think I actually said to the TV with some people that I was watching it with, I have no idea what's going on right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I was talking to the TV like that. 'cause
Well,
it
there was a couple
flabbergasting.
there was a couple of very convenient moments. Can we also the hot chocolates, the empty hot chocolates on the quote unquote ice skating rink was very convenient. Brian, can we also talk about the fact that she ran into him not once but twice?
That's true.
Perfectly timed. If she had been 10 seconds later in her day when he walked out of that hotel, they would have missed each other.
Yeah.
But like,
God is
as
good.
a screenwriter,
All
you're
the
saying
time.
like, I gotta figure out how to get these two people together. I have an idea. Let's just have him walk out of the hotel twice.
Serendipity.
Yeah. The ice,
magic.
the
Christmas
ice skating
magic.
rink, we've seen some doozies of
Oh,
ice
yeah.
skating rinks in our time here on Deck the Hallmark. This is the worst one, right?
This is the worst one I've ever seen.
It is. There were red carpets. There are billowy curtains.
Yeah.
It was like, please break an ankle.
Yeah.
Just whatever. Just please.
Like, why do it? Why
Yeah.
do the rink?
Have
Like,
yourself a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Break an ankle. Do those two things while you're here skating.
It was this movie where I found out that Austria has no fire codes. You can do anything you want to at any time.
But
Luke,
have you
go ahead.
ever even seen in real life an ice skating rink that looks like that?
No.
Like, I'm there with ice. Like,
No.
Like I was struggling with like where did you even think that?
Yeah,
this was
how'd you get that
normal?
idea?
For the record, there was 0 ice at that ice skating rink.
Well, it was. They tried to make you believe it was about 20% ice.
Are we
but
misinterpreting? Was it not an ice
Well,
skating rink?
I think the thing is, and Hallmark has never been able to get this right. Ice skating rinks notoriously empty, like notorious for not having things in their way,
Yeah.
just having ice and walls because safety. And Hallmark is like, well,
Nah.
that's not Christmassy enough. And so we will routinely see ice skating rinks on the Hallmark Channel. There's a Christmas tree in the middle of the ice skating rink, or there's like different benches to sit on, and it's stupid. But this takes the cake. There was
Drink service.
There was
On the ice.
actual table service on the ice. That is never heard
To
of that
this
one before.
point, I was at an ice skating rink with my kids last year, and we were skating, and they had 2 cones on the ice to show you where to go around. A kid tripped on the cone. There was 2 things on the ice, and even that was too much.
The good news is that ice skates aren't sharp on the
No, they're
bottom
not.
either.
It's
There's
not-
no
yeah.
Yeah,
chance
exactly
of
right.
Yeah.
anything bad happening there.
It's fun. It's fun.
The only other thing that stood out, a few things, but I'll stop here, was the Vienna Chocolatier of the Year award.
Yep.
Like the way that you drop off was you just bring your box of chocolates and you just put it down like you're returning a library book.
Yes.
Like
They know.
no like pomp and circumstance around it.
No.
Like just you just drop it off. You hope it gets to the judges. You hope it gets where
When
it's supposed to
she
be.
said she was going for Chocolatier of the Year in Vienna, I was like, this is the premise of this movie.
whole
We're going to
thing.
have a whole contest.
Not even close.
It's just a drop it in the mail situation.
Barely a part of it, actually. Luke, anything stick out to you that made you go, wait, what, aside from ice skating rinks?
Oh man, I thought that the Maya and Wilfred situation mentally never saw coming and never saw that the movie needed. But when there was the one scene where Wilfred goes to Henry like, "Oh, I'm seeing Maya tonight," I was like, there wasn't any in the previous hour of the film or 45 minutes. There was no like looks or winks or anything to symbolize that maybe there was something going on here. And so that was a little bit of wait, what?
Yeah.
What's going on here? A little surprising to me. Just fundamentally never saw it coming.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
In a bad way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Of course, in a bad way, just to make sure Luke is saying it wasn't good.
It wasn't.
I
It
wanna be very
was
clear.
a bad way. Yeah. Joel, anything stick out to you?
Well, look, I have to say this, and if anyone from the film actually made it this far and is not furious at us, it's a feat to make any film. I will say that.
Yes.
As like Luke says it well, it's like you have to be kind of crazy to make any film. Like it's so hard to get people mobilized, to get extras, to get so props to them for making a movie. And that's something to be said about that.
This is like Joel doing this right now is like a Hallmark scene. He's doing it to make you feel really good about it.
Really
they're going to
build
put
you
that
up.
on the DVD box. Props to them for making a film, Joel Smallbone for King and Country.
On the deck, the Hallmark bucket.
Look, I didn't. This is all about stakes to me, right? Again, I keep coming back to the high stakes and the low stakes. I did not really care about him or her. I liked them both. I certainly didn't care about Alfred and the other young lady. I did not care about their dynamic. I did not care about his dad. I also did not care at all about the sidekick to the real estate agent or the lady. There was just some woman that was sort of in the background for a lot of these scenes that I actually cared. I wanted to know why she was there, and she seemed like she stole the chocolate at one point, and that was kind of it. So what I have to go to is like what stuck out to me is just I thought there was some to Brian's point. I thought there was some really pretty shots. I actually thought you could take it. Some of the scaled shots like the red bike and those bits. And I thought it had a level of scope personally. And then the only other thing that stuck out with me, there was just some head scratcher edit moments that I was like, I don't think like in an hour and 23-minute film, you didn't need that bit. And maybe they were extending like one random one at the beginning was when they all meet for the first time in the park or whatever. And one of them reaches over to shake the woman's hand, and then Henry reaches over to shake the woman's hand. I was like, no one needed to see them both shake their hands. I know that happens in real life, but just cut that bit out. Like there's just some little tidbits like that. But being very, very obnoxiously nitpicky at this point, admittedly.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, let me continue that. There's a line towards the beginning of this movie when she's talking to her friend about the competition, the Chocolatier of the Year.
That's right.
She says, I want to create something that will knock the competition out of the park. And there is a saying there.
Here in America, it's not that. though.
There is a saying there about knocking something out of the park, but I don't think it has anything to do with what you do to the competition.
They're Austrian, Brett.
They're
Austrian.
She's
By the
already
way,
picked-
Luke is the mastermind of taking phrases and merging them, but because he has an Australian accent, no
People
one
roll it.
questions
People
him.
are just like,
Oh, yeah.
shrimp on the Barbie, got it. Like they don't they don't question.
I want to create something that knocks
Like-
the competition out of the park. So.
Like instead of saying like I've got some demons in my closet, he'll be like or like skeletons in my closet. He'll be like I got some demons in my closet. Or like
Sounds way
instead of
worse.
rock the feathers, he'll be like I don't want to rock any boats here. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the right.
That's the
You
right
got it
one.
wrong.
You
That's the
switched
right
it.
one.
Yeah.
You switched
No,
it.
the
So
right way. Sorry,
maybe
yeah,
it's
yeah.
you. Maybe it's you.
Now who's rocking the feathers?
That's exactly right. That's the only one we're rocking here. I got two more really quickly. They're decorating a tree together, and he says, "I've never decorated a tree. My parents just weren't into it." Okay, what? My parents weren't into it. First of all, weird. But second of all, if somebody says that to me, I'm immediately giving them a hug. And I'm just being like, yo, how's therapy going? Because you need to be in it. That should have been the first thing where she goes, oh my gosh, he's got some
got some demons in his
he's got
closet.
some demons in his closet.
That's right.
He's got the demons.
But you know what?
He's rocking the
To
feathers.
tack on to
feathers, that's
that, the problem is not only does he say that, then he goes, and then I went to boarding school, and so we didn't ever decorate the tree. You didn't come home for Christmas when you went to boarding school? Your parents are monsters.
Yeah.
They
He's a
just
holdover.
They sent you,
holdover.
you
That's
sent
why. Hey,
you
that's
boarding
why-
school,
that's
and they
why
said,
the father-son.
yeah.
That's why the father-son reconciliation was just so powerful. It
Oh,
had all the feels.
well,
you know what I'm saying?
powerful
Dan.
and out of
Dan,
nowhere.
can we agree? Can we agree on this though? Can we agree on
Yeah.
this? In that, if I went to you and I said, I have a Hallmark film about a young lady who came, and you touched on this, brand with your synopsis, who came from America because her grandmother died,
Yeah.
and she'd lived a lot of life. She came back to Austria, and she just believed in legacy, and she wanted to start this chocolate storefront, and this sort of evil empire is trying to take it from her, and she needs this evidence. But hang on, the person at the top of the evil empire is actually this young man who's actually a well-intentioned fellow who got handed this down. And all he wanted to do was be loved by his dad, but he's sort of this unloved fellow. And by the way, it's chocolate in Austria, in Vienna, and she's got this, like, she's trying to do this chocolatier contest, and like, I would actually go, yeah.
That's
Why I picked it, because I was like, this
Yeah,
sounds like
no,
a
it
great
sounds
idea.
like a movie that has been a movie. Like it sounds like a Hallmark movie we've seen a dozen times. Like this is the ultimate Hallmark premise.
And I'm hearing
Like,
there's a death.
You know,
Sign
big
me up.
city
Someone's
character
dead.
comes to small town or small like local lodge, big hotel chain. Like this is like, Candace Cameron Bure made a dozen of these movies. Like that is what Hallmark was built on. This and the fake relationship. Like those are the things that Hallmark was built on. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Joel.
Yeah. Dan.
Yeah, I got a couple more. I do need to mention once again, she says, I always say about life and chocolate that change is the thing that keeps life from being a snooze fest.
It makes sense the second time.
If you say two things, you need to say
It makes
something.
less sense to me, Brian.
It would be like saying the thing about work and
rocking the feather.
The thing about work and basketball is that change makes work fun. Well, what about basketball? You can't
Exactly.
do
That's
a
the
2
point.
for 1. If you want to tell me something about life and chocolate, then don't follow it up with life is a snooze fest without change. What about chocolate?
Exactly. What
you
about the
promised
chocolate?
me a thing about chocolate.
You know what's crazy? In the film, I was like, oh, this makes sense. And then when you said it the first time, I was like, this doesn't make sense. And now that you say it, I was like, this makes no sense.
They got you. They got you.
You got me.
That's how they do it.
The big company, Danube Development is the name of this company. Danube Development Group in Austria. They are a $1 billion company with their logo and sign taped to a wall. This
Temporary.
$1 billion company went to the Daniel Thompson 8th grade school of putting his Batman Forever poster up in his bedroom. They have
You don't
literally-
get to be a $1 billion company by wasting money
On signage.
on good signs.
That's right.
Is it centered? It doesn't matter.
CFO
That is that is Scotch tape, man. It's gonna last all week unless it gets humid.
Yeah.
Like it, I can't. It's $1 billion company.
You saw their show yesterday. They had somebody holding them up into the air with their hands.
There is more tech involved in just the Drummer Boy song than in this whole movie's budget. They don't. I'm sorry, if you're $1 billion company, you have to act like it a little bit, right? Like a framed or something that wasn't made at Kinko's on poster board. Like that was pretty brutal. And then I've got two more. I'll just go with one just for this the sake of time. Oh, I do just real quick. After all, this woman who owns the chocolate shop does decide to go with the $1 billion company. I want to be very clear. That's how it's different.
Right.
She decided to say, yeah, let's go for it. But my last one is the big thing that turns the tide for her in this movie is she finds her grandma's best friend, like who taught her English, who's living in that town, and
which should have been the very first person that she went to.
Yes, thank you, Joel. The fact that this woman has been hiding away. She's like, I love my grandma so much. She was my favorite person. She had a best friend she never talked about and lives in town. Like what? Like, am I being punked right now? Yeah. The fact that woman, the first scene of this movie should be her having tea in that woman's house. That should be the first scene of this movie. Yeah. And instead it's used to move the plot forward. And it was unforgivable. Well, it was crazy.
That does bring up what the Hallmark, which is where we talk about any questions that we still have. And yours is related to mine, so I'll just go really quickly. There's a picture that she has of her grandma, which is just a picture of her grandma. And then she discovers the other picture, which is that same picture,
right.
but another person, the person next. Did something happen between the two of them? You know how like when you break up with someone and you cut all your pictures? It's like, this person's out of my life. Why did she only have that picture of her grandma, which was a picture of her grandma originally from a picture of her grandma with her friend? Something may have happened, and I'm concerned.
Convenient to only have half that picture.
That's tough. Luke, do you have anything that you would like answered before we go?
An answer as much of it as it is. I think what the hallmark to me was that this dude Henry is the son of a billionaire, and he, if you're just thinking through like passing something very special on to a son, usually speaking, they're like showing like ability in how to lead a company or whatever, and the movie basically starts with the son going, yeah, I don't want to show up to work. I don't want to do this, that, and the other. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, ever exist? Like, who gives a business to someone that doesn't want to do it, doesn't have any interest in it, seemingly, and also just doesn't seem to have a work ethic?
Yeah, fair.
That was a little bit of a puzzling puzzle. And it's $1 billion company, mind you.
Yeah, just $1 billion. Just an easy, cool billion.
A little bit of a head scratcher for me.
That's fair. Joel, anything that you would like answered before we go?
I just want to know what the Hallmark happened after the film, because I don't think they end up together. Personally.
Yeah, fair.
Based on the bedrock of their relationship and the sort of the shallow nature of it, I think they sort of try it for about 6 months and they're like, hey, you've got your $1 billion thing, and you've never, decorated Christmas tree. You go to therapy. I'm gonna go to
the chocolate.
The chocolate thing.
Expand.
This is exactly the reason why Joel isn't a Hallmark film director. Right there.
Yes.
He should be. Maybe he should be. He should be to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll work on something together. Brian, anything for you that you would like some answers to?
The Wilfred, who is the right-hand man, I was waiting the whole movie for that conversation of, hey, Wilfred, why don't you just take over the company?
Yeah.
The guy wants to run the company.
Brainer.
Like, let Wilfred.
He's doing it anyway.
So was there a version of this where Wilfred?
So that's good.
Yeah. Give him the company.
It's good stuff. I'm sorry about what I said
Thanks,
earlier.
man. And also, we also want to know about the eggnog. Like, how was that?
I think we all
eggnog?
want to know about the
What
nog.
that taste
We're big
like?
nog fans around
Big
here.
eggnog.
And also, while we're talking about, sort of wet substances, just I guess it was innuendo when they threw out the hot toddy thing. It was the one sort of risque bit of the whole film. It's like, I'm going to go get a hot toddy with,
That's
and
right.
I was like, where is it? Oh.
How you say hot toddy?
Yeah.
Dan, anything?
True.
So the actor that is helping and working in the chocolate shop, who is from all three, we did movies earlier this year, Luke and Joel, called Love on the Danube, 3 of them. And they're all take place on a boat on the Danube River. And this woman who's in this movie in the chocolate shop is also in all 3 of those movies. She's Canadian. Like, she's not from there. She doesn't live there. Her name is Catherine Disher. That is her name. I want to know what the deal is. I want to know if they filmed all these movies at the same time. She just happened to be available for 6 straight weeks to do all, like, it's just wild that she was on a show for Hallmark called The Good Witch, but for us, we don't see her that often. And then we've seen her 4 times in the last month, and all 4 are around the Danube River. And I don't know, like, I just want the information on that. That's my what the Hallmark. That's all I got. Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah, we
My
did.
Sweet
Sure did.
Austrian Holiday. It's in the books. Boys, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Please
Great.
come back. Don't even
Yeah.
promote it. Just come back and hang out sometime,
This
guys.
was a lot of fun. For King and Country.
Let's make this an annual affair.
I love it.
Put it here.
And
Thank you for coming to the show.
Yeah, I'm
It
into
was
that.
so much
I'm
fun.
into that.
It
Yeah.
was so much fun. For King and Country, a Drummer Boy Christmas live in theaters this December 5th through the 9th. Chances are it's coming to a theater near you, so check that out. Fellas, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. Until then, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas!
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.